At JFK Airport, a humble woman enters first class with a gifted VIP ticket, only to face cruel scorn from a glamorous flight attendant and mocking elites. Her ticket is torn, insults fly, and dignity is shattered. But just as security arrives, a mysterious man steps in. "You insulted my wife?" A shocking twist unfolds, exposing injustice and sparking a powerful stand for the homeless. Beneath the radiant glow of a sunset streaked with hues of orange and purple, John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York pulsed with the frenetic energy of a microcosm, where thousands of flights each day wove together stories, dreams, and silent prejudices. The terminal was a cacophony of sounds. The crackle of boarding announcements, the hurried shuffle of footsteps on polished marble floors, the rumble of luggage carts, and the murmur of conversations in a dozen languages. The crowd was a vibrant tapestry of humanity. Here, a black man in a frayed jacket clutched a budget airline ticket, saved up over a year to return to Mississippi for Christmas. There, an Asian immigrant family embraced tearfully, reuniting after years apart. Nearby, a middle-aged woman with platinum blonde hair and Gucci sunglasses berated a security officer for not carrying her Louis Vuitton suitcase. "Do you know who I am? I fly first class," she snapped, her voice cutting through the din, drawing exasperated glances from passers-by. Amid this chaotic sea of travelers, a secluded enclave stood apart, an oasis of opulence known as the SkyElite Airways lounge. Bathed in the warm glow of crystal chandeliers, it was a world unto itself, where plush crimson velvet chairs, polished ebony tables, and a bar stocked with vintage wines catered to the ultra-wealthy. This was a realm accessible only to those who could afford tickets costing as much as a small apartment, or years of groceries for an average family. The lounge's attendants, stunning as runway models in their navy blue uniforms with gold trim, glided through the space with practiced smiles, serving their exalted guests 24/7 with mechanical precision. Through the lounge's expansive glass windows, the sunset painted the tarmac in molten gold, a breathtaking sight for the elite sipping champagne, yet a haunting reminder for the less fortunate queuing at check-in counters that the day was fading and their dreams remained out of reach. Into this gilded sanctuary stepped Emma Carter, a quiet anomaly in a symphony of extravagance. Petite and vibrant at 30, she moved with a gentle confidence, but her attire clashed starkly with the surroundings. A faded green sweater, slightly worn at the cuffs, hugged her frame, paired with jeans that had long lost their crispness. Her white sneakers, yellowed with age, bore no designer logo, relics of a trend forgotten years ago. Slung over her shoulder was a threadbare canvas bag, its edges frayed, a far cry from the billion-dollar Hermes totes carried by the poised matrons sipping martinis nearby. Yet in Emma's hand was a gleaming first-class VIP ticket for SkyElite Airways, its embossed gold lettering catching the light. A silent declaration that she belonged here, in a way no one could have anticipated. 2. Hearts under light and shadow. The disdainful glares of the affluent passengers and the mocking smile of head flight attendant Jessica Reed immediately targeted Emma Carter, who had just stepped into the first-class cabin of SkyElite Airways with a gleaming VIP ticket in hand. To Jessica and those around her, that ticket seemed an unthinkable mistake, an affront to the exclusivity of their world. Emma Carter, 30 years old, was a woman of quiet humility, her warm brown eyes carrying both the resilience and scars of a life marked by hardship. Raised in the slums on the outskirts of Chicago, Emma had once slept on cardboard under the glow of streetlights, dreaming of a day she could escape the shadows of poverty. She became a humanitarian aid worker, dedicating her youth to helping the homeless and orphaned, driven by the same longing for compassion she had once craved. The first-class ticket was an unexpected gift from a close friend, a mysterious figure known to her only through brief text messages, their identity still unrevealed. On her wrist, Emma wore a delicate silver bracelet, the last gift from her mother, who passed away when she was a child. It was a symbol reminding her that true worth lies not in clothing or wealth, but in the heart. Yet today, in this opulent first-class cabin, that worth was being trampled. Jessica Reed, the 35-year-old head flight attendant, was the epitome of sophistication and extravagance, but beneath her flawless exterior beat a heart steeped in prejudice. Her golden blonde hair was pinned up in a perfect chignon, not a single strand out of place, adorned with a sparkling Chanel hair clip. Her navy blue uniform, tailored to accentuate her impeccable figure, was edged with gold trim, and her red Louboutin heels clicked arrogantly against the cabin floor with every step. On her wrist gleamed a diamond-encrusted Cartier watch, a gift from a wealthy passenger she had once served with a beguiling smile. Jessica prided herself on being the gatekeeper of first class, a domain reserved exclusively for those she deemed worthy, the ultra-rich. Her sharp, calculating eyes often lingered on male business travelers, married or not, accompanied by a flirtatious smile laced with intent. She had once leaned in too closely to pour wine for a married CEO, whispering playful remarks, all to secure generous tips or dinner invitations. For Jessica, the first-class cabin was not just a workplace, but a stage where she reinforced her status and hunted for opportunities. Passengers like Emma, with her frayed sweater and worn canvas bag, were an insult to the pristine world Jessica had crafted, and she was determined to eradicate them at all costs. 3. Insults in the Crystal Palace. In the warm golden glow of the SkyElite Airways first-class cabin, the opulent space of leather-upholstered seats and sparkling champagne glasses transformed into an arena of contempt. Emma Carter, petite and clutching a gleaming VIP ticket, stood before Jessica Reed, the head flight attendant, who cast a piercing glance at Emma's simple attire. A faded green sweater frayed at the cuffs, worn jeans, and scuffed white sneakers devoid of any brand logo. A mocking smile spread across Jessica's lips, and she spoke loudly, ensuring the entire cabin could hear. "Are you sure this is your ticket? First class isn't for people like you." Jessica emphasized "like you" with a venomous edge, her eyes raking over Emma's tattered canvas bag and unmarked shoes. She leaned forward, hand on hip, her red Louboutin heels glinting under the cabin lights, and continued, "Look around. This is a place for those who belong, not laborers in second-hand rags." A ripple of chuckles spread among the passengers. A middle-aged man in a gray suit, his Rolex glinting, looked up from his Wall Street Journal and smirked. "She probably wandered in from a bus station. That bag looks like something a homeless person would carry." A woman in her 50s, her neck adorned with a diamond necklace the size of grapes, chimed in with a sneer. "I bet that sweater came straight from a dumpster at a flea market. Who let this kind into first class?" Emma's cheeks flushed, but she took a deep breath, touching the silver bracelet on her wrist. A gift from her late mother, her anchor in moments of doubt. Her voice was soft but resolute. "This ticket was a gift. I have every right to be here." But Jessica cut her off. With a theatrical flourish, she snatched the ticket from Emma's hand, held it up to the light as if inspecting a counterfeit bill, and tore it in two before the entire cabin. The pieces fluttered to the floor like wilted petals. Jessica sneered, her voice dripping with scorn. "A gift? Do you think we're fools to believe sob stories from homeless trash? Or did you pickpocket someone to get this ticket? Come on, where'd you steal it from?" The cabin erupted in derisive laughter. A young man live-streaming on his phone swung his camera toward Emma, grinning. "Peak drama alert. Homeless girl posing as first class. Watch this, folks." Another woman, clutching a martini, added, "Look at her, pure filth. She's probably never seen a leather seat in her life, and now she thinks she can barge in here." The words stabbed at Emma's heart like daggers. She had grown up in a Chicago slum, sleeping on sidewalks, and had spent her life aiding the homeless, people society dismissed as filth, just as these passengers were doing to her. Her spirit began to waver. She hadn't expected such ruthless classism, even in this lavish setting. She tried to explain, her voice trembling. I didn't steal anything. The ticket is real. I just want to be treated fairly. But no one listened. Jessica crossed her arms, her tone mocking. Fairness? People like you only know how to scam your way into places meant for the rich. Just look at you. You'll never belong here. An older man with gold-rimmed glasses muttered. What a disgrace. Letting beggars into first class? Who'd fly SkyElite after this? Emma's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to tell them she devoted her life to helping those society scorned. But the words caught in her throat. Memories of hungry, invisible days flooded back. She bowed her head, hands clutching her silver bracelet, eyes brimming with tears. She whispered, almost to herself, I'm not a liar. I just want respect. The cabin echoed with laughter and scornful whispers. Jessica, triumphant, signaled the security team. Get her out. First class has no room for beggars. 4. Storm of scorn and fallen masks. The atmosphere in the first-class cabin of SkyElite Airways grew stifling. The golden glow from the crystal chandeliers now casting a harsh light on the profound injustice unfolding. Emma Carter, encircled by scornful glares, clutched the silver bracelet on her wrist, desperately holding onto the last remnants of her strength. The torn pieces of her first-class ticket, ripped apart by Jessica Reed, lay scattered on the floor. A cruel reminder that she didn't belong here. The mocking laughter of the elite passengers rang out sharply, their increasingly vicious insults exposing the hypocritical facade of the ultra-rich, whom Emma had once believed held a shred of compassion. Jessica, her mocking smile as sharp as a blade, crossed her arms, her red Louboutin heels glinting under the cabin lights. She tilted her head, her voice dripping with contempt. Call security now. I'm not touching her myself. Don't want to ruin my manicure. Her stench of poverty is polluting this luxurious space. A chorus of laughter erupted from the passengers. The middle-aged man in a gray suit, his Rolex gleaming, who had earlier branded Emma homeless, stood up and pointed at her. Look at yourself. Those tattered clothes. Daring to sit among us? I bet she stole that ticket from someone's pocket. Now playing the pity card. Emma froze, her heart sinking as she recognized him. She had seen this man at a charity event in a poor town a few months ago. He had shed tears as she spoke of orphaned children, even writing a hefty check to help the poor. Now, in her presence, he revealed his true colors, a sanctimonious hypocrite, generous only when cameras and spotlights were on. She wanted to speak, but her throat tightened, words trapped within. A woman with a diamond necklace, martini in hand, sneered. She's probably a professional pickpocket. Who'd gift a first-class ticket to someone like her? That canvas bag's likely stuffed with stolen goods. The laughter swelled again. The young man still live-streaming swung his camera close to Emma's face, cackling. Here it is, folks. Homeless imposter trying to play high class. Smash that like button if you want her kicked out. An older man with gold-rimmed glasses shook his head. Utterly disgusting. Letting beggars sneak in here. First class might as well be a landfill. I'll sue SkyElite for letting this filth through. The barrage of insults rained down, each word a dagger to Emma's dignity. Exhausted from 2 months of relentless work aiding refugees in a makeshift camp, where she toiled without rest, sleeping fitfully on wooden benches, she was at her breaking point. Her body was weary, dark circles framed her eyes, and her once resilient spirit began to crumble. Memories of her slum childhood, of enduring scornful stares, flooded back. She hadn't expected such brutal classism in this opulent setting. She stammered, her voice frail. I'm not a liar. It's not me. But no one listened. Jessica, basking in her triumph, signaled another attendant. Hurry up. Get Manager Thompson and security in here. I don't want her pauper stench ruining the experience for our esteemed guests. Manager Thompson, a man in his mid-40s with a meticulously groomed mustache, strode in. He scanned Emma from head to toe, his eyebrows raised in suspicion. His voice was stern. "Madam, we have strict protocols in first class. You have no documentation to prove your claim, and you're disturbing other passengers. Leave the aircraft now, or we'll have to escort you out." Emma tried to respond, her voice trembling, barely audible. "The ticket, it was real. I didn't steal. Jessica cut her off, her tone mocking. "Oh, spare us the act. Think those crocodile tears will fool anyone? People like you fake poverty to scam the rich. Get out. Don't soil our leather seats." Another woman, wearing pearl earrings, sighed shrilly. "What a waste of time. Just drag her out, so we can take off. I have a meeting in Paris." Emma stood alone amidst the crowd, her hands gripping her silver bracelet. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from shame, but from the pain of a lifetime spent fighting for those society despised, only to be branded a beggar and thief. She bowed her head, her body trembling with exhaustion and despair, whispering, "I'm not a liar." The cabin resonated with laughter and scornful murmurs, a symphony of hypocrisy and arrogance. Jessica, her eyes gleaming with victory, barked at security. "Drag her out now. First class has no place for this trash." 5. Reversal under a steely gaze. Just as Jessica Reed signaled for security to enter, the aircraft door swung open with a sharp clack, the sound reverberating through the opulent first-class cabin of SkyElite Airways. A tall man, around 40, stepped inside, his commanding presence radiating with every step. James Walker, clad in a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair flecked with silver glinting under the crystal chandeliers, possessed eyes so piercing they seemed to cut through every pretense. He paused, surveying the cabin, from the gleaming leather seats to the mocking crowd, before his gaze settled on Emma Carter, trembling amidst a barrage of insults. The torn remnants of her first-class ticket lay scattered on the floor, a stark testament to the gross injustice she faced. James's voice, deep and resonant, sliced through the scornful laughter. "What's happening to my wife?" The cabin fell deathly silent, as if the air itself had been sucked out. Jessica froze, her artificial smile petrifying on her lips, the glow of her red Louboutin heels dimming in the moment's wait. Manager Thompson coughed, struggling to regain composure, sweat beading on his brow. James strode toward Emma, gently placing a hand on her shoulder, a gesture both protective and resolute. He turned to Jessica, his voice icy. "You tore my wife's ticket and called her homeless?" Jessica stammered, her hands trembling so violently that her diamond-encrusted Cartier watch clinked audibly. "Yes, sir. We were just verifying." James cut her off, each word landing like a hammer. "Verifying? Or humiliating? I am James Walker, chairman of SkyElite Airways, and Emma is not only my wife, but also the founder of the Hope Rising Foundation, which has raised millions for the homeless. The very people you just insulted." The cabin seemed to hold its breath. The young passenger live streaming fumbled to shut off his phone, his face ashen, hands shaking. Jessica staggered back, her flight attendant badge quivering as if it might fall. The shredded ticket on the floor now stood as damning evidence of her catastrophic error. But the greatest shock struck the middle-aged man in the gray suit, his Rolex glinting, who had branded Emma a thief. His eyes widened in panic as he recognized her, the poised woman from a charity event in a poor town months ago. He had feigned tears and written a lavish check, all to curry favor with James Walker, hoping to secure a multi-million-dollar supply contract. Now, he realized his grave mistake. The woman he had scorned was the wife of the most powerful man he'd ever sought to impress. James continued, his voice calm yet imbued with an authority that made the cabin tremble. Ms. Reed, your conduct is a stain on SkyElite's reputation. Effective immediately, you're reassigned to the ticket counter. Never to serve in first class again. All staff will undergo mandatory anti-discrimination training, starting with you. He turned to the man in the gray suit, his gaze sharp as a blade. And you? I remember your charity check. Just a performance to win a contract. Wasn't it? That deal? Consider it dead. The man blanched, his mouth agape, unable to utter a word. His hands clenched, realizing his hypocrisy had obliterated his greatest opportunity. The other passengers, once so quick to jeer, now averted their eyes, their smugness replaced by unease. The woman with the diamond necklace stared intently at her martini, her fingers nervously twisting her rings. The live streamer sank into his seat, his bravado gone. James turned back to Emma, his eyes softening, a stark contrast to the storm he'd just unleashed. My love, I've created a new role, Director of Service Culture. No one is more deserving than you. Emma, her eyes brimming with tears, managed a faint smile, her voice choked with emotion. Thank you, James. But I want this role to ensure no one is ever treated the way I was today. The cabin sank into a heavy, shame-filled silence. Jessica, once haughty with her Cartier watch and flirtatious charm, now stood with her head bowed, her eyes vacant. The man in the gray suit gripped his armrest, his face a mask of regret, knowing his deceit had cost him everything. The other passengers, their earlier arrogance extinguished, sat in stunned quiet, the weight of their complicity pressing down. Emma, though still trembling, stood a little taller, her silver bracelet catching the light, a quiet symbol of her unbroken spirit amidst the wreckage of their prejudice. 6. Heartfelt resolution, dawn of dignity and justice. From the charged tension of SkyElite Airways' first-class cabin to an elegant seaside cafe tucked within a coastal resort, where the golden sunset casts a radiant sheen across the glistening ocean. Ebony tables, adorned with delicate white orchid vases, gleam softly, while the rich scent of Arabica coffee wafts through the air. Emma Carter and James Walker sit face to face, their gazes woven with a deep, unspoken understanding. Emma, now in a modest yet graceful pale blue dress, still wears her fragile silver bracelet, a cherished relic from her late mother. James, in a white open-collared shirt, exudes a relaxed confidence, his commanding presence softened by warmth. Before them, 2 cappuccinos steam gently, their wisps of vapor a quiet emblem of serenity after the tempest. Emma stares out at the sea, her voice steady yet introspective. I always thought I didn't belong in places like this, first-class, resorts, or anywhere extravagant. But today, I realized my worth isn't tied to clothes or tickets. It's here. She presses a hand to her chest, her eyes alight with quiet resolve. James clasps her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. He smiles, his voice tender. You've shown me that respect isn't born of wealth or status. I love you for your heart and your courage, not for any title or facade. Their story began 3 years ago in a relief camp in an impoverished rural village. Emma, then a humanitarian worker, collaborated with James on a charity project to deliver clean water to thousands. He was struck by her relentless dedication, her eyes blazing with passion as she spoke of orphan children, and her strength despite her own childhood in a Chicago slum. To James, a billionaire accustomed to opulence, Emma's soul was a revelation, a force that compelled him to reconsider life's true priorities. Her heart, not her appearance or position, was what captured him. James continues, his voice rich with conviction. Starting today, SkyElite will launch a program to provide airfare assistance for those in need, so no one is denied a journey due to lack of means. You're the inspiration behind it, Emma. Emma's smile is soft, her eyes glistening with hope. I just want to ensure no one endures what I did today. Everyone deserves dignity, no matter their clothes or origins. The scene shifts to SkyElite Airways' sleek, modern office, where Emma, now Director of Service Culture, stands before a team of employees. Her voice is resolute yet uplifting. From this moment, every passenger, regardless of attire or background, will be treated as a VIP. No exceptions. Never judge a person by their appearance. True value lies in their heart and deeds. Have you ever been dismissed because of how you look? Share your story in the comments and amplify this message so no one suffers like Emma. Like, subscribe, and share this video to champion tales of justice and dignity. Follow for more stories of justice and dignity. Join SkyElite in supporting airfare for those in need. For the wealthy, this is a call to see beyond privilege, to honor the humanity in all. For the poor, it's a reminder that their worth shines through their actions, not their possessions. For everyone, it's a vision of a world where compassion dismantles barriers, where the rich uplift rather than exclude, and the poor stand tall in their inherent dignity. A world where every soul is valued and every story matters.